see this. Make sure that everybody's getting the picture here for tonight. Possibility of some more problems heading our way with more heat in the immediate future. So if you have any plans for outdoors, that's pretty much the big weather story that we've got at this time. Could be, again, the potential for a lot more problems with thunderstorms, but seeing a downturn in that particular possibility. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. That should do it for now. Let's go ahead and get Facebook into the mix and welcome everybody on board, so stay tuned. All right, it is peak of the week Wednesday. Hope everybody had a decent day out there. Hot, no question about that. And also looking at the potential of a lot more in the way of heat right through the weekend and into next week. The heat advisory for Northeast Arkansas has been extended. It's a good possibility we're going to start to see a lot more heat advisories for portions of the area. Add to that, the tropics have really gotten active in the Atlantic and the Pacific. We'll talk about that in just a little while as well. If you've never been here before, welcome to Weather Overtime. This is our online exclusive video weather blog to give you, the viewers, an opportunity to ask questions about what's going on with the weather forecast. We are coming to you live online from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the News 12 studios on Broad Street. Nice to have you along if you're joining us. And again, we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you don't like to watch on one, you can watch on the other. Glad to have everybody along for tonight. If you like, just stop by and say hello. Good opportunity again to see what exactly is going on out there where the weather is concerned. The tropics are most active at this point. We'll talk more about that again. There's a meteor shower peaking tonight, and if you have a good view of the east, you should be able to catch a pretty good amount of meteors this evening. Add to that, if we didn't hit the solar eclipse today, the planet and our timing for that was in the wrong zone, so we did not get to see the total solar eclipse here in the Chattanooga area. But there's another eclipse coming up as we go into about 2 weeks from now. We're at new moon at this time. When the moon goes around to be opposite the Earth and the Sun, the lunar eclipse will be coming our way, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. That's enough intro. Let's go ahead and get started with the important information out there. 94 above normal on the high temperature for today. 69, we actually were below normal for the low temperature. That is something we have not been able to say in the last few days. Came within 6 of a record high that hasn't been broken or set since 1881. That's a long distance away in time. We did manage to pick up 1/3 of an inch of rain. That brings us up to an inch surplus for the month of August, which is typically one of the drier months of the year around here, and that also helps our deficit for the year out. We were pushing 7 inches before too long, and now we're back below half a foot. But again, we could use a lot more out there. The drought monitor update comes out tomorrow, so stay tuned for more on that. Thanks to all of our viewers for some great pictures. Today's monochrome picture. I've always liked stuff like this because it looks kind of like Ansel Adams. If you've ever seen his pictures, just that stark gray, white to black colors, beautiful view of the outdoors. And tonight's picture from downtown across the river. Thank you very much, News 12 viewer Kelly Eves from Rossville. Beautiful shot there. And thanks to everybody for sending in some wonderful pictures. If you've got pictures, go ahead and send them in to us. We'd love to see what you're seeing so we can show everybody else about what you've been looking at. All you have to do is easy to get the information to us. You can drop them to our social media pages in the comments section. You can email them to us, pictures@WDEF.com. Best way to do it is to go to our website, WDEF.com/photos, and yours could be the next HEP heating weather window picture of the day. Shark coming through a little bit, give them a little bit of room there for that, and it looks like another one coming through. Yes, okay. Neat camera. If you've ever had this up for the Tennessee Aquarium, the Secret Reef webcam, neat to have as a background, makes it look like you have a ginormous 80-inch aquarium sitting right behind you, so a nice view from the Tennessee Aquarium at tnaqua.org. If you'd like to take a look at our school forecast, it's going to be partly cloudy to foggy in the morning. Not cool. Temperatures only back in the mid-70s or so, and then chances of showers and thunderstorms will work their way into the picture as we go into the afternoon, right about the time everybody hits the car rider or the bus rider line, walks or bike rides home. So you might need the rain gear as the class dismisses for Thursday. And if you don't have school tomorrow and are going to be wondering what to do, the pool is going to be a very good option, especially with temperatures like this. Very toasty out there. Remember the sunblock, remember that extra water, whatever you're doing outside. Again, possibility past lunchtime of some showers and thunderstorms taking place. Right now, it doesn't look like a huge chance, and please remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. The lifeguards at the pool are not trying to ruin your day. They're trying to keep you safe, because if lightning is detected out there, that means everybody out of the pool to get back indoors to wait for that storm or storms, plural, to make their way out of the picture. So please give the lifeguards some courtesy on that, as they are just doing their jobs. Looking back to the west, you're looking across downtown. Right there, you got Venus sinking in the west, and then also some lightning taking place. Some folks would characterize this as heat lightning. The lightning is caused by the heat, but there's no way that heat on its own just creates lightning. So again, for right now, what we're looking at is some of those thunderstorms back to the west of us, looking across Raccoon Mountain off there in the distance, and more in the way of those thunderstorms developing. This particular camera from the 1% List Scenic City camera on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam Network page. For tonight, we've got numbers right before 10 o'clock Eastern in the low 80s. We've got a heat index of 88 at the Chattanooga Airport. Dew point temperatures have been pretty well solid high 60s to low 70s, somewhere in there, and you combine the dew point with the air temperature to get that feels like index, and that's what, again, you're walking around out there to what it feels like. What we could use is some dew points in, say, the low 60s to maybe the mid 50s. That would come in very handy. That would make things a little bit more tolerable working or exercising outdoors, but unfortunately that's not going to be happening anytime soon. It'd be nice, but just not going to be heading our direction. Good news on air quality, at least for the most part. We are seeing, again, lots of areas of fires popping up. Each red dot that you see on the screen is a new wildfire being detected by the VIIRS satellite system, and there is some plumes going on down in the Delta and right to the west of Birmingham, but otherwise not seeing any major amounts of smoke coming in from out of the west. Now, when it comes to allergies, we do have some changes taking place. Tree pollen is absent. Grass pollen is higher. It was low. It is now moderate. Mold spores remain at high. Weed pollen remains at a low level. Information courtesy of the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic there. Now, otherwise, earlier today, beautiful all overall. Temperatures, again, pretty nice. Not too bad overall for this time of the year. And we are at green or good on the air quality. We've got some ups and downs on the particle and gas pollution, but otherwise everything in the green shaded category for now, so the good air quality remains. Carbon monoxide, that might look a little high right there, but because of the fact that this is measured in parts per billion, that's not high at all. It looks that way being in the triple digits, but there's just really not that much actually happening. Last night, we had a series of storms rolling through north of us called a derecho, a large, powerful windstorm that caused a lot of power outages from Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky into northeastern parts of Tennessee. And we've got kind of a similar lineup taking place right there, just north of the area where we have we had one severe thunderstorm warning north of the Cumberland Gap area. Lots of lightning north of Morristown. The sky's probably lit up quite nicely there, but nothing imminent. And just like last night, we've got a line of storms developing from Cumberland Gap back over to about Cookville and I-40. Now, whether or not this turns out to be anything like last night, a little difficult to say for right now, but it is possible we could see more thunderstorms dropping our direction from that particular route. Now, back to the west of us, west of Huntsville and I-65, we've got even more thunderstorms forming and continuing onward. Some pretty good amounts of lightning taking place at this point as the storms approach Athens, Alabama, moving back toward Huntsville. Again, scattered light showers for the most part, and some of these thunderstorms around Albertville diminishing, not much left of anything there. Then again, these storms could be part of more activity moving on through if that line continues to develop back to the north of us. So that could be a problem for overnight travel. Severe weather, we do not see anything taking place like that at this time. Now, the ingredients are there for some severe weather, mainly north of us, and the pattern at this time is going to continue across much of the region. We've got an area of high pressure. This is called the Bermuda High, sits around Bermuda, and air around this rotates clockwise. So this is causing a lot of warm, moist air off the Atlantic, moving it across the Bahamas, the Caribbean, over into the Gulf, where another area of high pressure is now pushing that moisture-rich air up into the southeast United States and also pushing a lot of hot air up into the continental U.S. So more of that heat will be continuing into the course of the next several days. So little, if anything, really is going to be stopping the progress of any of this heat moving on through. And as long as these areas of high pressure are working in tandem to give us the potential of more in the way of heavy amounts of heat, especially back to our west, some nasty temperatures shaping up. Greenville, Little Rock, Springfield, St. Louis, triple digits in the southern Mississippi Delta area, and more potential of that heat sticking around as long as this area of high pressure will be hanging around the area here, escorting in all that hot, tropical, moisture-rich air. Now, we do have another front trying to make its way in, might try to arrive by the end of the weekend, but again, as long as high pressure is pushing against that, we just do not have really anything that's going to be helping us out anytime soon. Now, what we also have, when the National Weather Service, severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center, flash flooding from the Weather Prediction Center, when one of these discussions is issued and it shows what's going on, it shows where the National Weather Service is targeting a particular area to say, this might be happening in this area for this amount of time. Well, over the last couple of hours to the next couple of hours, it's a good possibility that in this particular mesoscale discussion, and technically this doesn't affect a great deal of the News 12 viewing area, extreme northern Ray, Meigs, and Monroe County could see the possibility of flash flooding. The problem we've got with those thunderstorms we've had, dropping rain in the last few days over and over and over again in the same area, more rain on top of that moisture-soaked ground could lead to flash flooding. That water's got to go someplace. If it can't drain into the soil, that soil is moisture, not moisture-starved, but just moisture-rich, so that rain comes down and has to go someplace, and that's where we're seeing this problem with the potential of maybe some more flash flooding. So if you're heading between, say, east of Nashville, west of Knoxville, back over into around Cumberland Gap, just to the west of Morristown, up into portions of Kentucky, please be aware of this, and please keep it tuned to News 12 for more updates on warnings. Now, the severe threat tonight, a 1 out of 5 marginal threat, and that does affect some portions of the News 12 viewing area on north of Chattanooga, mainly up around Middle Tennessee. Tomorrow, the threat goes well to our north of the Tennessee-Kentucky line, and there's really not that much left over from that. The National Weather Service had a heat advisory in effect for northeast Alabama until Friday. They have now extended that until Sunday because the temperatures here are going to be to roundabout about 105 degrees is when these are issued. So anybody working or exercising out here could be seeing a lot of health problems for pushing it too far. And we have heat advisories taking place from the Carolinas to Texas, from I-70 down toward the Delta. The orange is again the heat advisory that we see 105 on the heat index. In the purple shaded categories, mid-south, back up around the Ohio River Valley, mid-Mississippi Valley, the purple shaded counties are excessive heat warnings. Heat index temperatures here could be around 110 plus. So we are right smack dab in the middle of summertime and not getting better anytime soon. High 60s, that's as cool as it gets in parts of the Appalachians. Rest of the area, mid 70s possible into tonight. And then high temperatures tomorrow, we'll be back into the low to mid 90s. So not much good news into and around the area for the rest of tonight. Shirt sleeve weather to be certain, and definitely want to dress cool tomorrow no matter what you're going to be doing around the area. Now the tropics, this is where things really get interesting because none of these were around just about 3 days ago. We have two disturbances, one closer to Africa, one about mid-ocean. The first one in red, this one stands an 80% chance of development as it moves toward the Lesser Antilles. Again, with high pressure around Bermuda, it's a good possibility that that could catch these systems and move them up to the north. Now, if high pressure does not do that, these might kind of wander on over into the Caribbean in the next few days, maybe the Gulf, but that's about a couple weeks away on that. We also have a new tropical storm well back up southeast of the Canadian Maritimes. The sea storm Cristobal has formed and is moving to the east. We'll talk about that in just a little while. Two systems in the Pacific. The first one is much more organized. This is now potential tropical cyclone 1C. This one stands a good chance of aiming right for Hawaii in the next few days. And just to the northeast of that, we have another disturbance. This one, a 60% chance of development, not as much as 1C is, but you can notice a little bit of a swirl taking place there, and that again following on the heels of this particular system, 1C, moving off into that area. Now, Cristobal in the Atlantic is not going to be a threat to anybody. The computer models are not in good agreement. We're showing the lines all over the place here. A couple of them taking them towards the British Isles. The mainline model going right for basically France, and a couple of them, about a third of them in fact, looping this system around to the southwest, maybe coming back around again. That's possible. It's been seen before, so it is a potential problem there. But for right now, no imminent threat to land. It's basically what is called a fish storm, not bothering anybody but the fish. Now, 1C is a different story because it's expected to basically remain a tropical storm. There's not enough energy to get it to a hurricane yet, but notice right before it hits the Big Island, we could be seeing winds just shy of hurricane strength, and if this goes right across the Hawaiian Islands, that's going to be in a perfect spot to give a lot of winds across the area. Rain, a good possibility. Could be, again, some very inclement beach weather going on. These locations, whether or not this has enough oomph to really increase the amount of waves on the North Shore, that's a little bit too early to tell, but it is going to be possible. So once again, we'll be looking for more information about what Cristobal is going to be doing in the course of the next few days. And remember, we've still got September, October, November to go through. We've got the bulk of the hurricane season continuing, so we've got a long ways to go on this. Still watching, again, thunderstorms back to the west of the News 12 viewing area. Let's take a look from the downtown Chattanooga camera to Island Cove, which I believe we're looking right at the Sequoia nuclear facility on the horizon. putting off a lot of that steam going on. Good possibility with everybody using all that, excuse me, air conditioning, some extra power probably is in order. And again, other than that, we're not seeing any fog right now, but that could be a bit of a problem into the next couple of days. Heat advisory continues for Southpaw Day coming up tomorrow. Heat advisory again in effect for part of the area until Sunday. That could be extended next week as we go up in temperatures, pushing the century mark on Monday. I would not be surprised to see more heat advisories in our semi-near future. So that, again, could be something that we're going to need to deal with. Going back to school, outdoor athletic events, baseball, football, soccer, softball practice, whatever is outside, cheerleading practice, marching band practice, it's time to really pay attention to those working or exercising around with you. So please use caution. Anybody in those things in those events that I just mentioned, you've really got to pay attention to everybody's health around you. Somebody can fall out very quickly. I had 2 kids in band camp, and my wife played in marching band when she was in high school. And practicing in August, getting ready for those demonstrations and trying to stay cool at the same time, that is not easy. And with numbers like this is this is just the air temperatures right here. Combine this with the humidity, and you've got some pretty ugly conditions for being out and about. So please consider, again, your safety on that. Taking a look to the skies tonight. Tonight is the peak of one of the biggest meteor showers of the year. It's a great opportunity to catch some of the Perseid Meteor Showers. If you've never heard about this one before, you look to the east-northeast for the constellation of Perseus, the hero, the radiant. The idea right here is where all the meteors start coming out of this section of the sky. The moon phase is new, having just had that solar eclipse for today, so the moonlight will not be interfering. So seeing tonight, with the exception of the clouds out there, should actually be very good. So I don't see much of a problem there. Now, if you would like to go out and try to spot some of these, the Barnard Astronomical Society is holding a watch party right now up on Signal Mountain. That goes until 11 o'clock. You got about a little bit less than an hour if you want to try to get out there for some good viewing. Let your eyes adapt to that. If you'd like to know more about that or the meteor shower, and over the next few days as Earth moves out of that stream of cometary debris, we will see less and less meteors, but you could, at nighttime, especially going past sunset to around midnight and afterwards, you could catch the occasional trail of a meteor, I should say, going through the atmosphere. So definitely want to keep your eyes open because you may see one of the wonders of living in a solar system that is basically like a shooting gallery, all this material falling back to Earth. Actually, as the Earth goes through its orbit, it picks up these tiny little bits of meteors, and the Earth gains on average 10 tons of meteor and cometary debris per day. Our planet is getting heavier, sweeping all that debris out of the sky as we go through our orbit. So neat to be able to see that. BarnardAstronomy.com for more. Now, the next big thing is coming up in a couple of weeks. We're at new moon right now because that is where the moon came between us and the sun. So that's why we had the solar eclipse today. But as the moon goes around and heads to the opposite side so that it rises mid-evening and is opposite the Earth from the sun, we will see the Earth casting its shadow on the lunar surface starting August 27th at 10:33 p.m. all times on here Eastern. The peak of the eclipse, and it will be a partial eclipse, not a total one. That'll happen just past midnight, and then the shadow begins to move away. The total eclipse ends, or the partial eclipse totally ends at 3:01 a.m. the morning of August 28th. So looking forward to that. Really, again, some great opportunities to catch some of the most amazing astronomical events out there. So definitely want to make certain that you are paying attention to what is going on into and around areas. This is a great way to introduce your kids to anything happening in the world of astronomy. So please keep that in mind if you have that opportunity to do so out there. Our weather poll question of the day. This one, again, was something that we wanted to make certain that we try to include science, a little bit more about the environment, things like that. And the interesting effect, and this has been said, that it's impossible for this to actually happen. It's not impossible. It has been observed before, usually in tropical storm strength. But the problem is when you have one system that is rotating, and again, it happens either anti or totally cyclonic. Low pressure areas in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise. So you have one storm system rotating that way, and then you have another one, and as they get close to each other, it's been said it's impossible for them to merge together. It's not impossible, it can happen. It's just very, very rare. But what is the name of the effect that keeps hurricanes and tropical storms, for the most part, from merging? Katabatic winds, the Coriolis force, or the Fujiwara effect. Now, the most votes we got was for katabatic winds. Those are winds in places like Antarctica that go down slope, but because it's Antarctica and because it's so amazingly cold there, usually when winds head down slope and head into thicker parts of the atmosphere, the winds heat up, the air heats up around it. You've heard of a Thane wind, you've heard about a Chinook, a snow eater, things like that. Katabatic winds stay cold and they stay very powerful, and that's one of the things that Antarctica is known for, but it's not what goes on here. The Coriolis force, as our entire planet is turning and the air on top of the planet, on top of the waters and the land surface, is gripped by gravity, it gets flung around and helps to create the rotational force that we see in hurricanes and blizzards and all sorts of things like that. So it's not the Coriolis force. The correct term is actually the Fujiwara effect, to where when you have two rotating objects, I mean, think about getting two buzzsaw blades together, both going the same direction at the same time. It's very difficult to have that those winds merge together without somehow canceling out each other when that happens. So the proper term, the correct answer, which nobody voted for, is the Fujiwara effect. So thanks to everybody for voting in our poll for the day. If you'd like to vote in other polls, we'll have a new one coming up at midnight at WDEF.com/vote now. So thanks to everybody for voting in that, and we'll have more again coming up a little bit later on as we go into the weekend as well. So for the rest of the forecast into this evening and overnight, we should be looking again at not much in the way of cool, dry conditions. Overnight, numbers back in the mid-70s at best, and that really is about as good as it gets. So not much good news here. Chip Chapman has got your forecast coming up in the morning, getting you ready for that downward slide into the weekend, so stay tuned for more on that. That should do it for tonight. We've been on for almost 30 minutes. That's not bad for us. Thanks to everybody. We've got some folks on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in on the News 12 Facebook site. Appreciate everybody checking in. And again, if you have any questions or would like to know more, blue bar down beneath. You can email me at aonek@wdef.com. I'm on all of these social media platforms if you'd like to find me there. We'll post this to our social media pages, the repeat performance of Weather Overtime. It'll be available on our website and all of our social media pages and on the News 12 weather app. You can catch it there if you want to download it and find out more there. Fairly quiet for the rest of the night. Again, we've got some thunderstorms wandering through, but nothing major and nothing severe as of about 15 minutes past 10 on Wednesday evening. That'll do it for tonight. We'll wrap things up and send them back to your regularly scheduled midweek evening performances. Again, have any questions, let us know. Keep it tuned to News 12 on air and online, and we'll catch you again coming up on Thursday. Thanks for joining us.